Hello, everyone, and welcome to Studio Jake. I, of course, am your host, Jacob Airy. Thank you so much for joining us today. Be sure to like this video, click that subscribe button, ring that little bell, and leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. Don't forget to share it out. If you're listening on Facebook, like this page, author Jacob Airy. Today we have a very special episode. We are going to be talking about one of the most reviled movie adaptions probably in modern history, and that is Dragon Ball Evolution, directed by James Wong and produced by Stephen Chow. It takes a beloved Japanese anime and literally takes a crap on it, as one could describe. But I'm not doing this alone. Today I have a special guest. That is my wife, who I often refer to as my super cute wife. Her name is Pixie Ray. Thank you for joining me.
Hiya.
So, funny story about this movie. So it actually came out in 2009, in April, I believe, and I actually saw this movie first. Now, I had minimum exposure to anime. I had seen a bunch
As in no exposure.
Well, no, that's not totally true. I watched Speed Racer and Gundams, but I had never actually sat down and watched Dragon Ball. I had only ever played the video game, so Budokai. I was familiar with Budokai. So when
I didn't know you played that.
Oh, yeah, I loved Budokai. So when this movie came out, I thought, oh, this will be great. Because my assumption was that the movie was going to get the show correctly. And so years later, I guess 4 years later, you and I are talking because you had actually grown up watching Dragon Ball Z, correct?
Yeah, well, of course I watched it when I was a kid, like any normal kid would, because you didn't watch it, so you weren't normal.
Well, forgive me, I didn't have cable, so I wasn't able to watch Toonami every night.
Okay, whatever, Pastor Kid.
Yeah, sure. Anyway, so we're...
But you told me that you watched it when it first came out, but you didn't see the anime, so you don't have anything to compare it to.
Right. Well, that's what I'm getting to. And so we're out on this date, and she's like, "Oh, you like anime? Do you like Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z specifically?" And I said, "No, that show is awful. What are you talking about?" And she about loses her cool on me. I was worried I would have to call 911. And she's like, "What? What are you talking about?" And I said, "Come on, I saw the movie Dragon Ball Evolution."
I could feel the wrath of Shenron in my bones.
She almost went Super Saiyan on me and vaporized me.
It genuinely hurt my feelings.
It was
that
yeah.
you didn't know that wasn't Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, and I felt like I needed to educate you.
Right. So this was and so we actually, for a date, actually sat down and watched a whole bunch of Dragon Ball Z, and I was like, "Whoa, what have I missed?" And I thought Sonic X was cool. And now I'm completely addicted to Dragon Ball. I love Dragon Ball Z. I like Dragon Ball Super. I like the first Dragon Ball. We watched several of the movies. The animated movies, to clarify. Mm-hmm. Some I can take or leave, but the show itself, pretty good.
Some of the dubs are pretty bad.
Yeah, some of the dubs are pretty bad. Good thing Funimation got a hold of it. But anyway, neither here nor there. So Dragon Ball Evolution.
Yeah.
So we decided it would be fun because we were talking about this the other day. Every once in a while, my wife and I will do a bad movie night where we'll sit down and watch a bad movie, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we like to torture ourselves.
Right. I guess you could say we're masochists. Like, we did Plan 9 from Outer Space once, which is considered the worst movie ever made.
Well, that was that whole week. We dedicated the whole week to watching, like the world's worst movies. We even researched, world's worst movies.
And we watched a bunch
all
of them.
Yeah.
We actually didn't get through the whole week. I think we only watched 3 before we gave up, right? Something like that.
I don't remember. I just remember kind of cackling the whole time.
Yes, we watched Plan 9 from Outer Space. We watched Jack and Jill, the Adam Sandler movie.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't remember what the third one was. Do you remember? I can't remember.
It was that vampire movie.
That's right. It was a vampire movie.
I don't remember which one, but it was a vampire movie.
Yeah, me neither. It was a very bad vampire
Strangely,
movie.
Not Twilight, because I felt like that. I felt like that could have been on the list.
That
was pretty bad.
That was pretty bad. So anyway, so we thought we would actually watch Dragon Ball Evolution, and it just ended. We just finished watching it 10 minutes ago. The whole movie, we were talking and laughing and
Even our dog looked uncomfortable.
Even our dog looked uncomfortable. Little Todd. Y'all have seen Todd on my channel before. So we're going to talk about Dragon Ball Evolution, give you kind of an instant short review. We're going
because you had seen the whole movie.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters. I actually paid money to watch this abomination.
When it came out, I was 15, and I had been watching Dragon Ball Z since I was maybe, I don't know, like
and
7.
To emphasize, I had only ever played Budokai. I had never
seen
watched
anything.
the show. I had no context.
Well, I had only watched the shows because, like, my brother and I, we did not get along whatsoever. We fought all the time. However, we both loved Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, the whole franchise. And it was, like, the one time that we actually really got along was when we were watching the show because we both loved it. And it has, like, a sentimental place in my heart. And I think the movie came out when I was maybe 15, and I thought, oh, this is great. Like, I'm so excited. They're making a movie adaptation with, like, real people. This is going to be amazing. And I watched it when it came out on TV because I don't know, I didn't have any friends. I didn't go to the movies. I was homeschooled.
So you probably saw it a year after it came out.
Probably. I remember I was about 15, and I was watching it on TV, and I think I got maybe, I don't know, 30 minutes into it, and the physical pain was so overwhelming that I could not do it. Even my mom walked in the room, who obviously did not watch anime, but she knew about the Dragon Ball franchise because my brother and I were obsessed with it. She walked in the room and for like 10 minutes, and she looked at me dead in the eyes and says, "This is stupid." And I'm like, "It is stupid." And I turned it off because I was personally offended by the movie. Well, it was awful.
And my reaction in the movie theater was, I thought, this is garbage. I
can't believe you had to pay money to see that.
Yeah, I know. And silly me, like I said, I was under the impression that the people who were involved with the anime helped make the movie, because sometimes that happens. There's a live action Gundam movie, I believe it's called G Savior, and the people involved with the anime helped with that movie. And it's kind of dated. I wouldn't recommend it or anything, but back to Dragon Ball Evolution, I actually knew there was a mid-credit scene, but I walked out of the movie before the mid-credit scene.
You did?
Yes. And so actually this time that we watched the movie was the first time I had seen it, and I didn't miss anything, honestly.
No, you didn't.
So let's get into the movie a little bit now that we've got the backstory.
The groundwork. Of the trauma.
So the movie starts off with kind of like this opening monologue where Lord Piccolo, who is a character from Dragon Ball, the original Dragon Ball that started this whole thing by Akira Toriyama, genius man, by the way. And he invades Earth with this giant ape thing called the Ozaru. And basically what happens is the 7 mystics lock him in this container, which is weird because they also say it's at the center of the Earth, but the container's just kind of like hanging out everywhere. So basically what is happening is Piccolo somehow escaped, which they don't explain. They don't explain. Do they? Do they ever say this is how?
I didn't notice. If they did, I didn't notice.
Okay, so he's also working with this henchwoman named Mai, who, by the way, in the show does not ever work with Piccolo. She works for Emperor Pilaf, but she's for some reason with Lord Piccolo. And they never explain why. Where did she come from?
She's just there.
She is just there. So in the now, for those familiar with the show, Goku is a kid. He's what, 10?
In Dragon Ball, yeah.
In Dragon Ball, he's a kid.
He's a little kid.
Because the show follows him like from being 10 years old all the way to an adult. And
like what? He's in like his 50s now.
Yeah, yeah. At least you know he's had 2 kids at this point.
Yeah.
In this, Goku is turning 18, and he's a high school student.
But okay, Goku never went to school. He never went to high school. He only cared about fighting and food.
Right. And
he never went to school.
And
ever.
his grandfather is still alive. So in the original anime, the show opens, his grandfather has passed away, and so he's just kind of living on his own. He doesn't even really wear clothes, and Bulma just kind of stumbles on him, and he has the 4-star Dragon Ball.
Right.
In this, that's not what happens. He's going to Unitech High School.
Which, by the way, what the heck is that?
Yeah, there is ever a reference to Unitech. Now, I heard a rumor that they were originally going to call it Namek High School, which is just as dumb. But when they decided to make Piccolo the villain, they were like, oh, well, no, we can't call it Namek High School now. So, but like, there's so many characters they could have made references to for the high school's name. But anyway, Goku has a crush on Chi-Chi, which in the show they meet because Goku seeks out her father, who is a king.
So she's a princess.
She's a princess. His name is Ox, right? King Ox.
Ox King or something.
Yeah, something like that. And he is actually an apprentice of Master Roshi as well, but more on that later. So what happens is Mai and Lord Piccolo, because Goku, sneaks out on his poor grandpa who planned like this birthday dinner and goes to this party that Chi-Chi is hosting. Lord Piccolo and Mai attack him, which is not how he dies in the anime. And so then so then Goku looks at the moon and suddenly has this premonition that something is wrong. And so he goes there. He's too late, by the way. And as Gohan is dying, he tells him, you have to find Master Roshi, which they give a first name in this movie. Maybe he has a first name in the manga.
Wait, how did I miss that?
Yeah, his name is Muten Roshi in the movie.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
He buries Gohan, and then the next day Bulma shows up, which is she's played by Emmy Rossum.
She was the only one that I recognized.
Right. She's well Master Roshi is Chow Yun Fat.
That's right. Yeah.
He's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I'm as an actor, not in this movie. I want to clarify. He is a cool actor, but
nobody's cool in this movie.
Nobody is cool in this movie. So they just randomly decide to go together to find Master Roshi. So they do. They succeed. Master Roshi has another Dragon Ball. I think the 5-star one. And so then they have to find all 7 because they have to awaken Shenron. Now, in the cartoon, in the animated series, the reason Piccolo wants to find the 7 Dragon Balls is because he wants to awaken his army. They never explain why Piccolo wants the Dragon Balls.
No, he's just there.
Right, he is just there to find these Dragon Balls because it awakens a mystical dragon named Shenron, and he grants you a wish. Originally 1 wish, but then in Dragon Ball Z he gets upgraded and he can grant 2 wishes. Secret base where Roshi is supposed to train Goku to do the Kamehameha, but then it finds out that's not so secret, and Chi-Chi is just randomly there. Because she's secretly a warrior, which in the show, to be fair, in the show she is a warrior, but it's because she's a princess and her father taught her martial arts so she could defend herself.
But they ruined everything.
Right, she's just randomly at this martial arts temple for no reason.
And they're all in high school, which doesn't make any sense. It's kind of like...
Goku is not allowed to, because he gets bullied at Unitech. And what's funny is he's not allowed to fight, which that is not a thing in the show. He's only not allowed to hurt innocent people, but he is allowed to defend himself.
He fights all the time.
He fights all the time against opponents who are much weaker than him, and usually just ends with them running away. Right? That's like a thing in the show. Like there's this general guy that Goku will occasionally run into, and the general guy will always try to beat him, but then he just gets scared and runs away.
Right.
It's a running gag. So, at some point though, he tricks his bullies into fighting them. That was like a subplot we forgot to talk about. He just tricks the bullies into fighting them.
Which Goku didn't really have any bullies.
Because he didn't go to school.
He didn't go to school. It's kind of like taking one of the most beloved stories in the world, I would say. Like there's so many fans all around the world, like taking this story that so many people love and trivializing it,
making it about high school
and making them high school students, which is just the dumbest thing you could do, and then making it about high school problems,
right?
Which doesn't make any sense,
right? And so back to this temple where Master Roshi, all of a sudden he decides his ki, quote, quote, is low. So then they just randomly drive in the desert looking for another Dragon Ball.
Which, by the way, Master Roshi never did any of
Yeah,
that.
Master Roshi never went on any of the adventures except for one, I think.
He was
just
too busy reading his magazines.
Yes, he likes adult entertainment.
But we'll move on from that.
Yeah, exactly. So he doesn't... So then they run into Yamcha, which of all the actors in the movie, and I feel comfortable saying this, he looks the least like his character. He didn't even have the scars.
What about Master Roshi though? It looked nothing like
Okay,
him.
yeah, that is fair.
Okay,
but
both of them.
but they at least tried to make Master Roshi kind of like this older, creepy guy, like he is in the anime. But
Yeah.
with Yamcha, it's like they didn't even try. He's still a thief and all this, but like one of the things is he doesn't know martial arts, and in the anime he knows martial arts. In
That's
fact,
his thing.
That's his thing. The reason he agrees to help them in the anime is because Goku defeats him in a fight, and so he's like, "Oh, I'm going to come along with this little kid." Of course, he's not a kid; they're the same age in this show or in this movie.
Yeah, which Goku's a kid and Yamcha was Bulma's age, right?
Right. I remember
Yeah.
Team 4-Star really made fun of this. Team 4-Star is a YouTube channel that does.
They're beautiful, by the way.
Yeah,
They do
yes,
an
they
amazing
do.
job.
They do abbreviated anime episodes of not just Dragon Ball Z, but other shows. But
It's great.
It's great. Yeah, they really made fun of this part in the movie when Yamcha gets introduced. So so then they just randomly show up after they. Oh, by the way, they get the Dragon Ball, which is in a volcano, which appears out of nowhere.
For like no reason.
Right, they're in the desert. Then all of a sudden, boom, they're by a volcano. There's like this underground passage, but it's like, okay, but there's a sky, so it's no longer underground. So why didn't they just drive to the volcano?
Well, and they were in that ditch for a while, and then all of a sudden Master Roshi decides to levitate out of it after they were in it for what, like 12 hours?
Right, because it was daylight, and then he just jumped. Well, they did make a comment that his ki was low, but then he just suddenly jumps out. Not
Why
I'm
didn't he
revived.
just use his airbending to
Yeah,
lift himself
okay.
out?
So this is another thing: is this movie instead of copying, from the source material,
The actual like show it's supposed to be based
they
off of?
actually mention airbending from Avatar: The Last Airbender,
And
like 3
firebending?
times. Like yes, and firebending, and and they keep mentioning elements, so like air, fire, and water. But
Which isn't a part of the series
right,
at all.
no, it's all a focus on channeling your ki and your energy from within your body
And becoming stronger.
Right.
Yeah.
So after they fight Mai and like these zombies that Piccolo creates, which I actually think this is funny because in the show Piccolo creates his clones by coughing them up. He coughs up eggs and they hatch.
It was pretty gross.
It's pretty gross, and so to get around that, they made it where he had this machine that just takes out his DNA and creates them.
And he's like screaming in pain while the blood's being taken out of him, and it's just like little IVs in his arm, and he's acting like it's so agonizing, and it's kind of just like, what?
Now, and so Master Roshi, they randomly go back to the village where they said that Master Roshi couldn't teach him anything. They just randomly go back there, and Chi-Chi's in a tournament where she's fighting Mai.
With no context.
With no context, and Mai just wants like a sample of her DNA and then backs out. So I guess Chi-Chi wins the tournament. And so then you find out that the Kamehameha, instead of being like this epic thing that you fire, lets you build up your energy and then blast it out, you find out it's just a combination of fire, water, and air. Thank you. It's just like a combination of those things, and they keep calling it airbending and firebending, and it's like, what the heck?
Well, we both looked at each other after he said like airbending technique. We looked at each other like, what the heck? As if this movie couldn't get any worse. Like it's okay. First of all, if you're gonna make a movie based off of a series or an anime or a manga or whatever, chances are your average person isn't going to be watching it or enjoying it.
Right.
The people that are going to watch it are the fans, and so you should make it for the fans, as in make it accurate. But they didn't even do that. So like,
you're right. They had to borrow from The Last Airbender to put in those holes. And so after this, right? So Chi-Chi comes up with this trick where she'll let Goku like walk toward her and give her a kiss if he can light candles with the Kamehameha, which the Kamehameha never does in the show, I might add. The Kamehameha is strictly used to push back enemies or to blow up walls.
it's an energy blast.
Right.
It's energy.
It's not creating fire.
No, well, like, and they reduced it to like
A fart. It's literally a hand fart.
A fire fart.
It's a fire fart. And this video just got demonetized, but no, I said it. So anyway, she uses Chi-Chi's DNA to turn into Chi-Chi, and she steals the Dragon Balls that the group has found. And so then Goku Goku, Bulma, Yamcha, and Roshi, which again, Roshi never goes on these adventures in the show. They go to confront Piccolo, and it turns out Goku is the Azuru, which is how it is, but they never call him a Saiyan. They never
mention
they
the
don't
planet he's from. They never mention any of that.
They don't do the tail thing, because
No.
in the original Dragon Ball, Goku has a tail, and he stares at the moon, which it doesn't have to be. In the movie, they make it an eclipse, but in the anime, it just has to be a full moon.
Right.
Right. And so he turns into the Azuru, and he actually kills Roshi, like it's as the Azuru. But then as Roshi's dying, he's like, "Believe in yourself," and one of the worst death scenes ever. So then Goku just mentally turns back into his regular form, and Lord Piccolo's like, "No, how did you do this?" And also the special effects of him turning back, and Ray just pointed this out. All they did was reverse the scenery from him changing in. Like, it wasn't even a new thing. They just literally played it backwards.
Well, it was just like Plan 9 from Outer Space when the vampire was chasing them, and they just kind of like would mirror it. And it
Alien
was the same...
zombies.
Oh, sorry about that. But they would just mirror the same footage
But
and just make it
played
the
it
same
in
thing.
reverse or backwards.
It was the same thing. It was the same scene, just in reverse.
So-
it was so bad.
He defeats Piccolo, which this was actually true a little bit to the anime. He uses his Kamehameha, but I actually think in the anime he uses the Kamehameha to distract Lord Piccolo and then like pile drives through his body, right?
Nice pile drive to the face.
So Piccolo gets injured, and they use the Dragon Balls to wish Roshi back. But what about Grandpa?
I know.
It's like, at least in the anime, they establish that you can only bring someone back once with the original. Now in Z they changed it, but in the original Dragon Ball, you could only bring back a dead person once. And Master Roshi had brought Master Gohan. He had already brought him back once, so they couldn't bring him back a second time. And then also...
And they also established that he was happy.
Right, you're right. Later, Goku meets his grandpa because he has a 24-hour pass, because they can... It's part of... it's too much to get into, but...
Super realistic.
Gohan tells Goku, "I'm happy in the afterlife." So anyway... So they bring Roshi back to life, and they don't call him Shenron, by the way. They call him Shenlong.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, they called him Shenlong, not Shenron.
Why did I not? I think I was too busy focusing on how anticlimactic
Right, it is incredibly
it was.
enigmatic.
Well, like, they made him look like a little lizard. Like, Shenron,
Right.
everybody knows he's like this really long dragon.
Right, he
And
takes up the entire sky.
Yeah, and he's epic, and he has this really deep voice, and he speaks their language. But in this, they kind of just made him this little lizard, like, blah, 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 and he comes up and he, I don't know, it was just kind of like, I don't know, I didn't
Right.
like it.
So then they all celebrate. Goku goes back. Oh, because he had accidentally taken out Chi-Chi. He knocked her out because he thought she was Mai when Mai used...
Shape-shifting.
Right,
or
when Mai was
whatever.
shape-shifting, which is not a power she has in the anime, by the way. So then Goku goes to apologize, and then they like start to square off, like they're gonna fight, and then that's how the movie ends. But then there's a mid-credit scene where you see Piccolo is surviving, and he's like being taken care of by a woman who he had spared randomly after destroying her whole village. He just randomly spared her. So she's like curing him, I guess, or taking care of him.
Nursing him back to health.
I thought this was gonna have a sequel.
Oh.
So-
well, when I thought you were gonna turn it off, and then you were like fast forwarding through the credits. I'm like, what are you doing? And you're like, it's not over, because he had seen the what you had seen that end scene
Yes.
before. I hadn't seen it because, like I said, I had to turn it off because it was just too emotionally and physically and mentally painful to watch.
Right.
So he fast forwarded to the end credit scene. And I just literally was in shock. Like, they thought there was going to be a sequel.
The rumor was they wanted it to be a trilogy. They
no.
wanted to do a because they wanted to have Piccolo, and then it was going to end with Frieza was going to be the main villain of the last movie. That's just a rumor. I don't know if that's true or not.
Ay, Dios mío. No,
Yeah.
no.
So yeah.
Bad.
So basically, I honestly think that originally this wasn't supposed to be a Dragon Ball movie. I think it was just supposed to be, because in 2009, a lot of these kinds of movies going on these epic quests were coming out. And also, what's kind of funny is I looked it up on Wikipedia, and they make it clear on the Wikipedia that Toei Animation, which is the original production company, and Funimation, which is the dubbing. They had no involvement with this.
That explains a lot.
Right. Right now, this was made by 20th Century Fox, and I don't think they'll ever do another Dragon Ball film.
Can I just say though that while I hate this movie for many reasons that we've already stated, it's nothing like the series, any of the series. Even if they were to combine all of them all together, it's nothing like any of it. Them being in high school, that doesn't make any sense. Like, none of anything makes sense. Like, they just kind of loosely based the movie off of certain things that they decided to pick from it.
Right.
But can I just say that I kind of feel bad for the actors?
Yes.
Because even though they did a bad job...
Because it's not a bad cast on paper.
No, it's not. I mean,
they were just miscast.
The acting was bad. I've got to say it was
Yes.
bad. But I don't necessarily think it was their fault because... I don't know, like, I mean...
No, it's got, like Chow Yun-fat as Master Roshi, great actor.
Yeah.
Amy Rossum from Shameless, fantastic actress. Jamie Chung, okay, Jamie Chung,
Yeah, sure, okay.
she's okay.
But I mean, what about, like, Bulma, like, not the actress's fault, but, like, they didn't even bother to make her hair blue. Like, they
Right.
put that little blue streak in her bangs.
And Justin Chatwin as Goku was probably one of the worst casting decisions ever made. Like,
Yeah.
virtually anyone better would have been.
Well, and Yamcha had, like, ramen noodle hair.
Yeah,
What was up
Yamcha
with
looked
that?
nothing like his okay, even if you didn't want to put, because Yamcha has an X scar on his cheek and then another scar on the other side. Why not at least put the scars?
And his cute little blue cat that was
Right,
like,
Pior. Where was Pior? Like you said, and Rendell Kim plays Grandpa Gohan, another fantastic actor. I just feel like their particular talent was wasted on this movie.
Yeah.
And, shame on James Wong. I mean, he's a decent director. I mean, he's not like amazing or whatever, but he's a decent director. Now, I do have a little bit of bad news because I was just looking this up because I was curious what I said about the rights. So apparently Fox maintained the rights to make a live action adaptation. They just never did. They just canceled all the sequels. I was reading that Disney, oh Lord have mercy, Disney now has the rights because 20th Century Fox still maintained them. So, yeah. Anyway.
Which, by the way, I completely forgot until just now. Can we talk about how the Kamehameha move, or Kamehameha, however you want to pronounce it, was reduced to, like, a CPR technique?
Yes. Oh, yes.
What was up with that?
So Goku gets shot by Mai, and he's dying. He's not.
And it's not
dead.
like they could have used a sensu bean or anything
right,
like
yeah,
that,
yeah,
right?
exactly. And so Master Roshi does the Kamehameha and uses it to bring Goku back.
Which he has to do all of these, like, super fancy moves right beforehand.
You didn't have
like,
to do that.
Breathing in really deep, like he was sucking in all of the oxygen.
And then he did these weird hand moves. Yeah.
Oh, and then it was only used one more time after that when he was fighting Piccolo, but it lasted, like, 2 seconds? And like I said this when we were watching it, everybody knows that a Kamehameha lasts at least 40 minutes. Like,
We're
2
being
episodes.
facetious, but it takes a while for him.
But it
not
was
in
just
Dragon
so
Ball Super.
anticlimactic. Like, you're waiting. I was trying to give it the benefit of the doubt. Like, maybe I was too harsh on this when I was 15. I just need to give it a chance. It was bad.
It's pretty
bad. I just feel bad for the actors because, like, I felt secondhand embarrassment. Like, man, I can't imagine, like, if they went to the premiere or wherever
Well, what's
this
funny
was
is
showing, like, when you're watching a movie that you made or that you are in and it's so bad and you're in the premiere,
well,
and
Justin
you can't leave.
Chatwin actually tried to defend it, and he wanted to be in a second one, which would explore the Saiyans. Well,
They just underestimated the fans.
right. Well, no, they underestimated good writing, but but one of the things that's interesting too is, like, one of the Goku and Vegeta, when you first meet them, they have tails because they're Saiyans. When they all have tails and they kind of use them as belts. Well, Goku's gets cut off like 3 times in Dragon Ball, and by Dragon Ball Z, he just decides not to grow it back. I don't know.
Because it's their weakness. Like, if someone, like, grabs it, it's like they get paralyzed. So he just decided to leave it gone.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so Vegeta's for some reason never grows back. They probably because he gets cut off, but I think the sword was a magic sword, so
But
that
I think
might
they
explain
just
that.
wanted to like move on to a different
Right,
part.
right. So anyway, whenever you cut off, because they turn into this giant King Kong like creature, which
Skyscraper size, may I add.
yeah, skyscraper size. But in this, they made them where they're just the size of a regular gorilla, and again, it's the light of a full moon, not an eclipse, so they can turn into it practically every night, depending on where they are in the world. But
And if they look at it, yeah.
and one of the things I don't get is, I get not showing that Goku had a tail maybe through the whole movie, but then like maybe reference it once, and then as he's killing Master Roshi uses the Kamehameha to cut it off. And then he turns back into Goku, realize what he's done, and then go up against Piccolo. That would have made way more sense.
There are a lot of things that would have made way more sense.
Yes, yeah.
In this movie, like I don't know why they had to. I keep.
And also,
hung up
Lord
on the-
Piccolo didn't kill Gohan. There's
Right.
one of the things is you find out that Goku turned into the Azaru and at the light of the full moon and accidentally killed Gohan.
But he doesn't remember
He doesn't
for a while.
he doesn't realize it, and then when he does, he has like this episode thing where he's mourning, and in this one he barely seems sad that Gohan is dead. They have the one
Like,
scene.
oh yeah, my grandpa died.
Yeah, there's literally a scene where Chi-Chi says, "I'm sorry about your grandpa," and he's like, "Oh yeah, so want to get ramen or something?" Not
Anyway,
like it wasn't
I'll
like
go
that.
to your party.
Yeah, exactly. It was that.
It was
felt
pretty bad.
that fast. Any final closing thoughts before we wrap this up?
Just that I think I know how to fix it.
Okay, tell me how to fix it.
You somehow find out how to get laser vision, and you fry the movie till it's ashes, and then you also right after that find out how to make a time machine, and you go back in time, and then you fry it again, and then I think it'll be okay.
That works for me. Well, anyway, thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Are there any people who actually think this is a good movie? Let us know in the
I
comments
don't
so we
think
can
anybody
scorch
in
you.
the world thinks that this is a good movie, especially if you're a fan. Like, I remember my mom knew how much my brother and I loved this series, and she was watching it like, this is embarrassing. Like, I'm getting secondhand embarrassment watching you watch this. So I guess it's third-hand embarrassment?
Yeah, I
It
guess
was
so.
bad.
It was pretty bad. So thank you so much for tuning in. We hope that you enjoyed our little rant about Dragon Ball Evolution.
And let us know, like, what your favorite worst part was.
Yes, please do that. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, ring the little bell. Find me on Facebook, author Jacob Airy, Instagram, Parler, and Twitter are all at Real Jacob Airy. Find my website, StudioJakeMedia.com, and head over to Prism Pixie on Instagram and find my super cute wife's pictures and
Aw,
give
he's
them
so
all likes.
sweet.
I
It's
know, I tried.
prism.pixie.
Oh, it's prism.pixie. Thank you for
There you
thank you
go.
for correct. Yeah, prism.pixie. Head over there, like her pictures, leave her a sweet comment, and we'll see you next time right here on Studio Jake.